It was only in October when Aboriginal architect Douglas Cardinal filed a request for an injunction blocking, if he had been successful, broadcast of a game between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Cleveland Indians. The reason? Because Douglas Cardinal thought that the logo, Chief Wahoo, and indeed the team name of the Indians was offensive to him personally, but indeed to all Aboriginals. Now, we know that that request for an emergency injunction, though a hearing was held, was ultimately denied. But one thing I can share with you today exclusively, based on documents I've obtained under Access to Information, is that the Justin Trudeau government, the federal government, was potentially going to go to bat for Cardinal. Documents obtained showing question period card consultation between the Minister of Indigenous Affairs and the actual Department of Indigenous Affairs show a question period card recommendation that I wanted to share with you. Now, question period cards are the documents that have suggested lines, backgrounders, information that ministers can use if they're questioned in the House of Commons. Now, obviously, Indigenous Affairs Minister Carolyn Bennett was expecting that she might get questioned about this idea of the Cleveland Indians playing in Canada, and the ministry was trying to get the bureaucracy, the department staff, who aren't technically partisan, to assist them with the goal of coming up with a good answer. Now, here's the major part of this. The actual recommended line was as follows. The name and image are derogatory, disrespectful, and dehumanizing towards Indigenous peoples and should be abandoned. That's it. They should abandon the name. The federal government should tell a private company that exists in another country to change a beloved team name, despite the fact that the vast majority of people, including, by the way, Aboriginal people in the U.S., aren't even offended by such names. But what we find more interesting in these documents is that the department staff, the nonpartisan staff, were repeatedly telling the minister's staff that they weren't actually going to fact check or approve the lines. Here are a couple examples of that. Minister's office has been advised that no departmental approval will be forthcoming. That was a message from Lynn Newman, who is the Director of Legislative Affairs. Julia Dewar in the office said something similar. She's a senior policy advisor. No deputy minister approval will be provided. And Vanessa Riddell similarly writes, please find attached the card with MINO lines. We have flagged to the minister's office that we will not be fact-checking the lines. We will translate on our end. So here we have what ultimately seems, from the information we can glean from this, although much of it was heavily redacted, that this was the ministry directing this. This wasn't coming from staff. This was the ministry directing this, and in fact, departmental staff didn't really seem to want all that much to do with it. Perhaps they even thought that the federal government, the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, intervening in a private matter in another country was not appropriate. But once you let political correctness govern you, it's amazing what lengths people will go through. For the Rebel.media, I'm Andrew Lawton. If you like what you see here, make sure to check out the Rebel.media for lots more great content. And check out the premium memberships. You'll have so much access to things that you won't get anywhere else in the world, only at the Rebel.media.